Hey, stop. You better stop scrolling. Don't do it. You're going to feel guilty. Better not. Just kidding. Aloha, all you beautiful souls. This is Xavier. I'm coming live from Maui, and I wanted to come on and give you all 3 quick steps that we can process through as humans to work through and acknowledge guilt. Now, before I do, please comment where you're from. If you're watching the replay, comment where you're from, because I'd love to get in and connect with everybody and just get more out there in the world with this global healing of raising the frequency and helping each other. So, as we enter this, what I'm going to work through as I deliver some value for you is I'm going to work through 3 steps to guilt. Now, before I do that, I want to do a little bit of definition of what is guilt, because so many of us feel it, but do we really know what it is? And then what we're going to do is we're going to end with a bonus. And this is really important for those of you who really feel a lot of guilt in your life. Please tune in the end, because there's some just power statements that I want to share that will shift you into love. So, as we're getting into this, first let's talk about guilt. Why is it so important to talk about guilt? Well, it's a lower emotion. It's a place where our sacral chakra is imbalanced. We can feel guilty about something that has happened. We can feel guilty about something that's happening. We can feel guilty about something that we're about to do. Now, the things about the happening and the do is it has to do with us. It is our actions. So guilt can live in the past and the present and exists as worry for the future. Now, what is it? Guilt is the belief that you have done something wrong. Now, for something to be done wrong, there must be a victim, right? So, this is the first part of that. Realizing that when you feel this energy, or when you feel that you've done something wrong, that energy is called guilt. And so what we want to do is we want to work you through it, give you a 3-step process. Boom, to knock it out. Now, this is called inner work. It may take time. The deeper the guilt, the more harsh the crime is said to be, the longer it may take. More lessons, but here we go. So, the first one is we're going to be responsible. Now, we break that word down. Responsible. I'm going to change it to an A. The ability to respond. The ability to be present for this energy. Whether it coming from inside of you and you feeling you did something wrong, or whether another person is projecting at you that you've done something wrong. So what we do in this is we acknowledge the crime. We acknowledge the victims, and we acknowledge the true guilt we feel about it. Because this is what will happen. If we say, oh, nope, we shadow it, whatever we call light that, whatever we call it, where we push it aside. What is that called? I don't know what that's called. But when we do that, it sits inside of us still. Still eats at us. But these things build up. You'll be walking around feeling guilty. You'll also be less likely to live in your power because you've done something in the past you haven't resolved. Now, the second step here is remember your intention. Ask yourself your intention. A lot of the way, this is the part that we start getting out of guilt. Now, there are some of us who've done things to hurt somebody. That's called black magic. Karma comes back to you. Now let's talk about gray magic, which most of us live in. The reason being is because we're working for ourselves. We're trying to figure out our own lives. We're stuck. So as we go through and do so quickly, then what we do is we move too fast. It can be as simple as moving something where it's not supposed to go. Ends up hurting somebody. In hindsight, we're like, oh, I shouldn't have put that there. But what was your intention? Was your intention to hurt somebody? Were you trying to shed the corner to hurt somebody, or just to make it easier on yourself? Now, what is the opposite of guilt, my friends? When we feel guilty, there's a loss of innocence. And we have to remember that so many times we do something out of pure innocence of just living our life, moving too quickly. And so there's a place of forgiveness there. There's a place of both responsibility and understanding oneself, understanding other people, what they're going through. When you're dropping the guilt bomb on them, maybe their intention was pure too. All right, now number 3, Ho'oponopono. We need to make right with this energy, make right with the victim, make right with ourself. That comes in 2 forms usually. One is the ability to forgive. Asking for forgiveness. If you're the one shedding the guilt, pushing it on somebody, you can forgive them. But we're working on inner guilt here. Forgive thyself for hurting another person, for making a mistake. And apologize. Don't be afraid. Not this like, oh, sorry, so I get out of it. No, like, really like feeling into somebody and giving them that energy that you care and you love them, and that you wish not to make a mistake again. Instead, you make a correction, and you become more conscious, more aware. So once we understand, once again, what guilt is, we be responsible, we acknowledge. Find your intention. Remember the opposite of guilt is innocence. And make right. And once you make right, now it is in your heart and your ability to have more intention in your next movements. If you're going to do something, if you're in the middle of doing something and you feel guilty about it, ask yourself, is there a way I could do this without hurting another person? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. How can I live differently so it's a win-win-win for everyone? All right, now let's wrap it up with the bonus part. Now this part is for those of you who have a really hard time with guilt. Some of it's called intrusive thoughts. It's rough, I deal with it a lot. Now what we have to remember here is guilt is about hurting other people. Do bad people feel guilty? When someone who's of ill nature hurts somebody, what do they say? They deserve it, I don't care, whatever. When someone of love hurts somebody, what do they say? Oh my gosh, how could I pour that? So the hidden lesson is very simple. The bigger your heart is, my friends, the more likely you can feel guilt. Take that in. The more guilt someone feels is because you care. So keep loving. Don't stop. Keep sharing. Do your inner work so you don't get closed. Keep spreading your heart and keep doing all the beautiful things on your mission. Some of the things that are going to come through are karma-based. There's been times in my life I've done things that have brought me absolute guilt. Turned out to be beauty. At a party, I moved glass into a trash can thinking I was cleaning up the room. My friend went and grabbed something out of the trash and cut his hand. Guilt was thrown on me as a joke. He was okay, but they were giving me shit. And I gave myself shit because I felt horrible. He went to the ER, he met a girl, they went on dates. It was beautiful. That was a very quick for me to work through that. Sometimes it takes much longer. So just remember, time heals. Everything's meant to happen. Keep showing up with good intentions and love. I'll be all right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I bless you all. I love you all. Namaste.